If you're watching this video, the chances are you decided to apply to the DTP in Environmental Research. As you'll have realised, there are several supporting documents that we request as part of the application. This video relates to the written work. This is the brief. Outline a research problem within the remit of the DTP in Environmental Research. Briefly indicate the information required to solve it, and suggest a line of research that, if conducted, could fill this knowledge gap. And you're given 500 words or 1 page in which to do it. It's important to remember that we're not asking you for a research proposal in 500 words. When you apply to the DTP, you will either select an existing project to apply to, or you will apply to a research stream. This route is for students who wish to design their own projects. It allows you to meet many potential supervisors after you arrive and to formulate your ideas with them before settling on your topic. In either case, you will submit a freshly written project proposal at the start of Term 3, long after you arrive, so no proposal is required as part of your application. A tip for the application: even if you're applying to a project, please put the name of the stream you're applying to in the proposed project title field. This would be biodiversity, the dynamic earth, or the physical climate. The only exception to this is if you're applying to a case project. These are marked on our website on the project page. You can also filter for case projects on the project page. So what is the purpose of the written work? Well, sometimes it can form the starting point of an interview conversation. Our interviews are very short, around 20 minutes, and so there isn't really time for a presentation at the start. The written work can give the panel something to ask you about, so make sure the topic is something you feel comfortable talking about, not something you know little about. It's worth noting, though, that it doesn't always come up at interview. It gives the application assessors an insight into how your mind works, laying out your thoughts about what information you'll need to gather to answer your question, what you might do with that information, techniques you might use. All will help the assessors get to know a bit about how you might approach a research project, how well you understand the subject area, and whether you understand what research is. Will you be able to understand problems in your chosen research area? And can you construct an argument? And it gives you a chance to include some of the skills and abilities you've picked up along the way as you fold those into your suggested line of investigation. And remember, everyone is different. There's no one perfect piece of written work, and it would be very boring if there were. But what if you haven't done much writing in your undergraduate degree and feel at a disadvantage to those who have? There are other ways to get your message across, and some of these are visual, so that is why we give the alternatives of 500 words or 1 page in the guidance. You can use any of the following in your outline: bullet points, diagrams, flowcharts, or use your imagination if you have another idea about how to illustrate your ideas. Play to your strengths. But how strictly do we apply the word count? The answer is that we don't check the word count of every piece of written work that comes in, so it's flexible. You won't be penalised if you go a little over, but try to stay close, as assessors have a lot of applications to get through. They won't thank you for submitting a long piece of written work. Also, don't feel tempted to upload previous examples of your work from, say, your master's if you have one, or a paper if you've been fortunate enough to have one published. These won't be considered, there simply isn't the time. If you choose to include references and these are not required, then they do not count within the 500 word limit. So how important is the written work? Well, different assessors may have differing opinions about the usefulness of the written work. Each application is reviewed by 3 assessors, and they're asked to score the application according to a fairly tight set of guidelines and scores. In this way, we aim to ensure fairness for each applicant, so that a number of different opinions are sought before we shortlist candidates for interview. The written work is just one of a number of factors, and there are many who feel that references, transcripts and the personal statement are more important than the written work in the final cut. Thank you for your interest in the DTP. I hope you found this presentation useful. If you do have any more questions, you can email me at this email address. And here are some useful links with all the information you need to know about our programme and the application process. Good luck with your application.